Hello friends and welcome to StudyIQ. I am Joycey Joy and today we will be discussing about the core sector growth contraction in India for the month September 2019. So here we will be discussing what is India's core sector and what is the significance of India's core sector to the overall development and growth of the country and what is its GDP contribution. We will also see what is the growth scenario of the core sector, which comprises of 8 core industries, and how is the contraction in the growth of this 8 core industries in the country for the month of September 2019. So we will be discussing all this. We will also discuss about the implications and what can be the future impacts and why we need to be very careful about it, and what are the indications given by this contraction in the core industries in India, and we will also see what is the way ahead. A very important topic. Core sector or core industries in India is very important topic for UPSC and also for all other competitive examinations. UPSC has previously in its prelims as well as in its mains examination several times asked questions about the core industries in India. So a very important topic. So we'll be discussing this in detail in this lecture. Let us start with the current affair. Let us see what is the current affair. So the economic data on the growth of the core sector industries are now available. It is recently released. So the latest set of economic data refers to the data related to growth. So growth in the core industries is available now, and this data shows that there is a contraction in the growth rate of the core industries in India. So based on this, we will see what is core industries. Let us see what is core sector index. Also, what are the core industries in India. Now, the index, that is the index of core industries, consists of 8 core industries. So in India, we have 8 core industries. Which all are the core industries? Very important. The first one is coal. Second one is crude oil. Third one is natural gas. Fourth one steel. Fifth is cement. Next one is electricity. Next is fertilizer and refinery products. So all these 8 industries together constitute the core sector or the core industries in India. Now, one more thing very important from your examination perspective. Usually the preliminary examination is conducted in the month of July. So just before the preliminary examination, you should have an idea which core industry has marked the highest percentage of growth. So which is the core industry that has marked the highest percentage of growth as well as the least growth percentage. This is very important. Just be updated just before your preliminary examination or any other exams that you are going to give. So just take the latest data available on the core industries. Very important. So these 8 industries together, they constitute the core industries in India. And the index of growth or the index that shows the growth in this 8 industries is known as the index of core industries. Now, what is the relevance? These 8 core industries altogether comprises of, or it makes up about 40.27% of the index of industrial production. So around 40% of the index of industrial production is contributed from this core sector. So this is the significance. Now we have seen that the recent data on the core industries growth has been published. So the recent data indicates what are the implications of the contraction in the core sector growth on the industrial production of India or the industrial production data that is to be released. So industrial production data is released through the IIP, that is the Index of Industrial Production, which is also a monthly data compilation. So when there is a contraction in the core industries, definitely this is going to contract the growth in the monthly production data as well. This is because 40% of the IIP is comprised or consists of core sector data. So if the core sector growth decreases or contracts, it means the overall IIP growth rate also will come down. So this is regarding core sector index. Now let us come to the highlights of the core sector index. The first thing and the most important thing, the core sector growth for the month of September 2019 has contracted by 5.2%. Very important. This is because in the month of August 2019, that is in the previous month, the contraction was just 0.5%. But this time the contraction is 5.2%, which is almost 10 times that of the previous month. So this is very important. And secondly, this 5.2% contraction, this is the worst fall in the last 14 years. So in the last 14 years, the growth of the core sector has never contracted to such a high level of 5.2%. Now third thing, the cumulative growth during April to September, that is the accumulated growth, that is accumulated growth from April to September 2019-20 financial year is just 1.3%. Now the worst fall, let us see, there are total 8 core industries. We have already discussed about it. So let us see for which among these 8 core industries, for which one has been the lowest performance. So we will see that the coal mining sector has marked the worst performance and it has got a very negative growth rate, and the coal sector is at a growth rate of negative 20.5% on a month-on-month basis. Now in the last month, that is in the month of August, the coal sector has showed a negative growth rate of 8.6%, whereas it has increased to negative 20.5% this month. So the worst performance is marked by the coal mining sector. Now let us also see what are the performances of other sectors as well. So we will see here a list of the core industries. So there are in total 8 industries. First one is fertilizer, second one is steel, third is cement, fourth is electricity, fifth is natural gas, sixth is crude oil, seventh is refinery products, and eighth one is coal. So here what we see is that the fertilizer industry has shown the best among all. So it has performed well compared to other sectors. So its growth rate is positive, and this is the only sector which has marked a positive growth rate. So fertilizer sector has a positive growth rate of 5.4%. Second one is steel. Even though it is a second one, it has marked a negative growth rate of 0.3%. Cement minus 2.1, electricity minus 3.7, natural gas minus 4.9, crude oil minus 5.4, refinery products minus 6.7, and coal has marked the worst performance among all of them, minus 20.5, and the overall growth percentage is negative 5.2. So we have marked the negative growth in the core industries of India. Now let us also see what was the performance of these sectors in the previous month, that is in the month of August. First one, fertilizer. Fertilizer, last month it was 2.9. So the performance of fertilizer sector has improved, that is 2.9 to 5.4. Now coming to electricity in the last month it was minus 2.9, and this month it is minus 3.7. Now third one is refinery products. It is minus 6.7, whereas in the last month it was 2.6. Next is steel. Now it is minus 0.3, whereas in the last month it was 5%. Natural gas, it's minus 4.9, whereas in the last month it was minus 3.9%. Next one is crude oil. The last month performance was minus 5.4. That means there is no change. So it is the same as the last month performance. And for coal sector, it is the worst performing sector, minus 20.5, whereas in the last month it was minus 8.6%. So this is the last month comparison. In the month of August, this was the performance, and this month, that is for the month of September, this is the growth performance. Now let us see what are the implications of this. The first implication is that The contraction in the core sectors, which constitute 40% of the IIP or the Index of Industrial Production. So this contraction is an indication that the economic recovery is very difficult. We were expecting an economic recovery due to the fiscal policies, the monetary policies, etc. adopted, but the performance of the core industries, the contraction in the growth percentages of the core industries indicates that it is very difficult to achieve an economic recovery. So economic recovery is very difficult. Second one is that the contraction is seen in almost 7 out of 8 industries except for fertilizers. So fertilizer is the only industry that has shown a positive growth compared to the previous month. Except for fertilizer, all other 7 core industries has witnessed a contraction. And among the 7 that has witnessed a contraction, coal sector is the worst affected. Now the third indication is that the overall contraction in the core industry sector is minus 5.2 compared to the previous month of 0.5%. So definitely the contraction percentage has increased. So it indicates a worsening economic situation in the country. So this is a clear indication of the economic situation in the country getting worsened. Now the fourth impact is on the GDP growth rate. So this contraction in the core industries growth will definitely impact the GDP growth rate in the second quarter and also in the full financial year. In the first quarter, that is a Q1, the GDP growth rate was just 0.5%. Very important. Now, in the second quarter, also we expect that the GDP growth rates will fall. This is because the core industries have shown a contraction in their growth. So, in the second quarter also this will come down and this will have an overall impact on the final GDP, that is the full GDP for the full financial year. Now the fifth indication, the core sector represents the capital base of the economy. So it is a representation of the capital base. So a contraction in the capital base of the economy, that is the core sector, indicates that the negative fall or the negative effects of the fall in the consumption is spreading across the entire production chain. So we have seen that the consumption demand of the economy has come down, and the impact of this lesser consumption demand in the economy, it is falling on the entire production chain. So this is the indication. So these are all the implications of a contraction in the growth rate of the core industries. Let us see what are the further challenges. The first one would be on employment. So the unemployment rate is expected to hike. The data released by the Center for Monitoring Indian Economy has shown that the unemployment rose to a 3-year high of 8.5% in the month of October 2019. So in the month of September 2019, it was just 7.2%. So a sharp jump from 7.2% to 8.5% in the month of October 2019. So what does it indicate? If the growth rates do not pick up further, then definitely there is a chance for the unemployment scenario in India to get worsened. So if the unemployment scenario gets worsened again, then again there will be a demand slowdown. So the demand will again fall. Now second concern or second challenge is with the growth in credit. We have seen that the RBI through its monetary policy consecutively for 5 times the RBI has cut down the repo rates. This is to increase the money supply in the economy by increasing the credit growth in the economy. So since February 2019, RBI has cut down 135 basis points, that is 1.35% interest rates on repo rates. So even then the credit growth in the economy has not picked up. And the credit growth in this financial year till now it's just 0.2%. So this is also another challenge that needs to be addressed. Now what is the way ahead? What has to be done? The government has to undertake structural reforms. We know that the finance ministry, the government of India, has come up with certain short-term remedies. For example, the cut in the corporate tax rates. So these are all some fiscal stimulus package. These are all short-term remedies. But long-term remedies require structural reforms. So government, the finance ministry has to adopt structural reforms. And second one, boosting the investment in the private sector along with public investment, that is the government investment, is very, very important. So only by increasing the investment, government will be able to increase the production, thereby increase the employment generation, also increase the GDP. So this is what is required now. You can find the PDF of this lecture on our website www.studyiq.com. You can follow my Facebook page for more video updates. You can write to me at joycey.studyiq@gmail.com for any of your queries and clarification. Thank you.